This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, we have seen about your how to, I have added the Excel also. There is Excel, I have added the Excel sheet. I have added the Excel also. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so in the last class, we have started seeing of your database tables. As I told you, this is a central repository where the entire data will get will be stored. So the steps to create the database tables and what are the mandatory details and what are the optional details we need to provide, we have seen it. Now in today's class, the first thing is, let's go ahead and start with this table SE11. So I'm going to create the table JT J27 and I'm going to create something called as your employee table. The first and the foremost table I'm going to create is called as your employee table. Let's click on create. So now the first thing is we need to provide the description in the first step. So provide the description of your table. So what is my description? I'm going to say this as employee details. Now the second thing is your delivery class. So what is the delivery class? So this will tell us what is what is what what type of the table, what type of the table we are creating in SAP. What type of a table we are creating in SAP? So we do have different types of tables. The first and the foremost is the application table. The application table, the customizing table, the temporary data, the temp data table. So like this, you will be having different things, out of which we will only work with these two tables in real time. 100% we will be working only on these two tables, and the remaining tables will be majorly worked by your uh, I would say your BW team or your basis team or some other team. So I told you, right? Application table, the customizing table, the temporary table for storing the temporary data, and then customizing table protected against update, SAP update, control tables, system tables. So out of which we will only create this application table and your customizing table. Now, what is meant by this application table? The data in this table, one second. So now where we are, yeah. So we are going to see something called as your application table. So application table. So what is the delivery? This will tell us what type of a table we are creating in SAP. The first one is your application table, and the second one is your customizing table. The data in this table will be added. Who is going to be added? The data will be added either by the business users or the end customers, either the business users or your end customers. So what is the difference between your business user and an end customer? So business users are nothing but employees of that company, employees of that organization, or I can say that as a company. Whereas the end customer or we, end customer or we, sorry, end customers are we. So now, so I can tell you a good example for this. So you can book your railway tickets by going to the reservation counter of your Indian Railways, or you can book from your IRCTC. So if you are going to the railway counter, the business user, that means the railway employee will be helping us to book the ticket on behalf of us. Whereas when we go open with IRCTC application, when we open the IRCTC application, we directly booking the ticket. We directly booking our ticket. So that's a difference. So when a person is doing a job for us, that person is an employee of that organization. When we are doing our own, then that is called as your end customer. And customer. In application table, again, we do have two types of your tables. One is the master data tables. The second one is the transactional data tables. One is the master data tables, and the second one is your transaction data tables. The master data tables. The data in this table will be never change, or will changes very rarely. The data in this table will never changes or will changes very rarely. That type of a data is called as the master data table, which will changes very rarely, which will never changes. So also example, the example is bank account information. Bank account information. So will you go ahead and change your bank account information, like your address or your mobile number or your email ID every day, frequently? No. When you are completely shifting from one place to another place, then you will be going to change your bank account information. Till that time, you are not going to change your bank account information at all. The bank account information at all. So that's called as, so or else I can say this as your employee information in an organization. Employee information in an organization. So like this. So this type of a data is called as your master data tables. Next, the transactional data tables. The data in this table will be changes very frequently, or very frequently. So that type of a data is called as your transactional data. So example, bank account, bank transactions, the bank transaction details. So here the data is going to be changed. Your amount will be credited, your amount will be debited. So right now the phone pay UPIs have been came up. So for every 10 rupees also you're paying it from your bank. You have to, for every 10 rupees or 15 rupees or 20 rupees you're paying it from bank. So how much transactions you are going to do, that type of a data is called as your transactional data. Now when we are dealing with our table, sorry. So now when we are dealing with our table, so here you can provide either application table or customizing table. But how can you determine whether it's a master data or a transactional data table? So in order to determine, hold on, that you can know it with the help of your technical settings. So which type of a table? So here you can tell us whether it's an application table or a customizing table. Now the next thing is, note the data in this table will will never gets transport, never gets transport by default. By default, it will never get transport from one system to another system. One system to another system. One system to another system, it will never gets transported. So it will never get transported from one system to another system by default. But we do have the options to transport the data, to transport the data. So by default, it will never do, but there are options to transport our data. You will be seeing this requirement very frequently. So what they will ask is, so in real time, so we will be creating an application table. We have created an application table. So now users, I mean, the testing team has added the data. Now, in the quality system and in the production system, they want they want the same data. Let's say they want the same data. Now you now the functionals will ask if can we able to can we able to move the data of this table. So at that time you have to do that, you have to do this. So this topic we will be covering in TMG. This topic we will cover in your TMG. This topic we are going to cover in your TMG. So this we are going to see it as the data is possible to move from one system to another system, but by default we don't have a chance to move it. But there are some other options to move your data from one system to another system. How to move that we are going to see when we covering with our TMG. Okay, now the customizing table. The data in this table, the data in this table will be added by the business analyst analyst. So business analyst will go ahead and add the data into this table. Business analyst, while, or I can say this as your SAP functionals. SAP functionals. The data will be added by either your business analyst, or I can say this as SAP functionals. While when they are doing the configuration, when they are doing the configuration in SAP, when they are doing the configuration, by default, the data of this table will be will be transported. So by default, the data will be always be transported. So this is what your customizing table is. So now, so the first and the foremost thing is, now in real time, note, in real time, when we are creating the table, we need to know the following things, the following items. The first one is, what is the type of the table? Sorry. What type of a table we want to create? Table we want to create. What type of a table we want to create, and how frequent the data in this table will change, how frequent the data in this table will change, how much so how much data we will store in this table, how much data we will be storing in this table per month or per week or per year, like that. So how much data we will be going to store in this table. So these three details you need to know when you are creating your table. What type of a table you want to create will be tell by either your application table or your customizing table, what type of a table, and then how frequently the data will be changed will be tell by either your master data table or your transactional data table. And how much data we will be stored, that we will be seeing in your size category, that we are going to see in your size category. So these three things you need to know when you are creating your table. Remember this. So these three are the most important things when you are creating your table. Okay, so now the table view maintenance. What is the data browser? The second point. So let me log on again. It is disconnecting frequently. SE11. So now I'll just go ahead and create this. I will be doing the employee table, and the delivery class is A. Now the table view maintenance, so what is meant by this? So what is the data browser and table view maintenance? So this will tell us, this will tell us who has an access, who has an access either to maintain the data or to display the data, or no access at all, no access at all, no access at all. So that will be tell by your data browser. In this we will be having three things. One is display slash maintenance allowed. The second one is display slash maintenance allowed with allowed, not allowed, maintenance not allowed. The third one is display slash maintenance allowed with restrictions. Display slash maintenance allowed, display slash maintenance not allowed, and display slash maintenance allowed with restrictions. The first and the foremost thing is display slash maintenance allowed. Display slash maintenance allowed. So when when we select this, everyone everyone has an access to maintain slash display the data, so everyone can go ahead and maintain the data, or everyone can go ahead and view the existing data. It's like a public transport, I would say. It's like a public transport, I would say. So whoever wants, they can go ahead and use that public transport. In the same way, whoever wants, they can go ahead and maintain the data in this table. Now the description. Okay, next, display slash maintenance not allowed. So no user slash analyst has has an access to maintain the data or to view the data. to view the data. So no user, no one has an access to maintain the data or view the data. Then you can ask me, who is going to maintain the data or who is going to view the data? How how the data is going to be maintained in this table? How the data is going to maintain in this table? How the data is going to maintain in this table? So the data will be maintained in this table. So the data will be maintained by the ABAP program. By the ABAP program. ABAP program has an access to maintain the data or to view the data. ABAP program doesn't check all these validations, whatever the validations which you are providing, it doesn't do it. We do have something called as your native SQL queries. With the help of that native SQL queries, SAP will go ahead and inject the data will go ahead and inject the data into your database. No, no, nothing restrictions, nothing. It will directly inject your data to your database. Okay, so this is called as your display not maintained. So example program. So like uh, currency conversion rate. Currency conversion rate. So every day the currency conversions will be happen. So if I have a possibility to go ahead and change it while I'm doing, I can go ahead and modify to 0. So $1 is equal to 1 rupee. I can make it up and I can buy so many products. So this type of a data we should never give. Or petroleum rate, or I can say this as gold rates. All these should not be never change. All the data should never change by any user. It has to be automatically configured by your system. So that type of data we will be always be maintained with the help of through your ABAP program. In that type of a table, we'll always keep it as display slash maintenance not allowed. Display slash maintenance not allowed. Now the next one is display slash maintenance allowed with the restrictions based on the user profile. Based on the user profile, we can provide him slash her either to maintain the data or or to display the data. So based upon the user profile, we will be either doing the maintaining of your data. We can provide him either to maintain the data or to display your data. So this is what. Note note, in real time, in real time we will always keep it as display slash maintenance allowed only. Maintenance allowed only, because we will never ever give access we'll never ever give access to SE11 or SE12 to any business users, slash and customers. We will never ever give an access to any business user. Now you can ask me how the data is going to be added. Then then how the users will add the data. So to add the data, for adding the data, for adding the data, we will create a application. We'll create an application using the TMG, the table maintenance generator. So this is the one. Technical settings, fields, domain. Where are these? Yeah, so upper. So optional, the table maintenance generator, the first and the foremost optional thing. So that is used. So now if the users want to maintain the data in this table, then we need to create a table maintenance generator. So we will create an application. So with the help of this application, users will add your data. Users will add your data. So directly they can't able to add. Direct injection from SE11 or SE12 is not at all possible. The possible way is only with the help of your table maintenance generator only. So this we are going to see when we started with our table maintenance generator. Now the next thing is the technical settings. So this will tell us where we want to store the table in the database. And what is the initial amount of memory we want to assign to the table. Will be tell by your technical settings. Now coming to this, in this we do have your four types. You have four things. One is your data class, one is your size category, one is your buffering, and the last one is your log data changes. One is your data class, the size category, buffering, and your log data changes. The data class. What is meant by this data class? This will tell us where exactly where exactly we want to store the table in the database. So this will tell us that database. Now if I open my paint window, so here let's take this as your database, or if you take your hard disk, your laptop hard disk. So what you will be doing, you will be configured with C drive, D drive, E drive, and F drive, right? C drive, E drive, E drive, and F drive. So C is used for your softwares, and D drive may be for your personal. So E drive for your studies, for your study material, and the F drive you will be storing for your movies, etc., etc., etc. So like that you will be using your entire hard disk. In a same way, in SAP the database has been configured into different data classes. The database has been configured into different data classes. So what are those? APPL0, APPL1, APPL2, DCIM, DFAC, user related data. Like this it has been stored. So what are those values? APPL0, L0, APPL1, APPL2, DCIM, DFAT, USR01, like that. USR01, user related data. Like this the data has been the data classes has been configured. So these data classes will be same across every system, whatever the systems might be, whether you are using with IRCTC, or whether you are using with ICICI Bank, or whether you are using Dr. Reddy's Lab, or whether you are using a Hall, or whether you are using Singareni Coal Mines or Tata Motors. These data classes will be the same. You can't able to create your own data class. Remember that. We can't able to create, either we or the basis or the functional. No one can't able to create any data classes in real time. We have to use the existing data classes that has been provided by SAP. That has been provided by your SAP. Now, what are the different data classes we do have? APP L0, APP L1, APP L2. So these are the main three, three, three data classes we will be using. So APP L0 is used to store the master data tables. So now once you give this as application table, and you have to know how frequently the data will be changed. So based upon your frequency, you have to decide whether it comes under APP L0 or APP L1. So master data tables, and this is used to store the transactional data tables. So the transactional data tables. So now if the data is going to be changed frequently, you have to keep it as APP L1. If the data is not going to change frequently, you have to keep it as APP L0. And next one is APP L2 is used to store the customizing tables. The customizing tables. Now you can also ask me, what will happen if I change my data classes? Is any error it will be throwing? So no, nothing, because system doesn't know how frequently you're going to change your data. System doesn't know. So it's our responsibility to know this, and based upon that you need to configure. See, even when you are taking this, you can keep your personal in movies, you can keep your movies in studies, you can keep your studies in your personal, nothing will happen. But why we are segregating? To make our life easier, or to make our life easier, or to make the system to go ahead and check only this particular area, in a same way, in order to make the system to check only into that particular area. So we are providing this data classes, okay. Clear with this, Sachin and Venkatesh? Any questions? Okay, I'll be considering it as no questions. Now the next one is this size category. The next one is your size category. So what is meant by this size category? So what is the initial amount of memory, or initial amount of records we are providing to that table? Will be told by your size category. Now, for example, let me open the Word. Let me open your Word. So now when I open the Word, the Microsoft will only provide with one single page. Once I have completed this, SAP is going to provide one more pages. SAP will going to provide one more page. If I go ahead and do it, and more page, so it is going to add one more page automatically. In a same way, see, it is providing only one page of memory while you open your Microsoft Word. In a same way, the size category will also show us the initial number of records. What is the number of records that we can maintain in the table? So here you will be having the size categories the size categories the size categories the size categories are being configured from 0 to 8, starting from 0 to 8. So now for example, for 0, let's consider 1000 records we can add. 1000 records we can add. For 1, let's consider we can add 5k records. That means 5000 records. The maximum records we can add are 5,000. For 2, let's say 7,500 records, 7.5k records. The maximum records we can add. For 3, let's say 10k records we can add, and these size categories will be configured by your basis note in real time. in real time in real time the size categories will be configured by SAP basis based upon your based upon your nature of your business, based on the nature of the business. Based on the nature of the business, they will be configured. Now, like this, they can maintain. For example, let's say this is an interview question, guys. Remember. So now, let's say interview question, the most important interview question. So they can, I have faced this almost like 15 to 20 times when I was attending the interview for 3 to 4 years of experience. 3 to 4 years of experience. When I'm keeping an experience of 3 to 4 years, I have faced this so many times. Now interview question. So I have created a table with a size category, size category as 2, where the maximum number of records are 5,000. So the maximum number of records I can maintain are 5,000, and I have filled I have filled with all my 5,000 records, or else I have completed all my 5,000 records. I have completed all my 5,000 records. 5,000 records. Now I want to add 5,001 record. Will system allow me? Will system allow me to add automatically? Or do I need to do any changes? So the answer to this is yes. Will system will add the data automatically by by providing the same amount of records. So system will add the data automatically. In this case, system will provide us another set of 5k records automatically. 5k records automatically. So that's what I told you when I opened the Word. So let's say in the Word, for the very first page, you can add 5,000 records. We can add the 5,000 records. All my entire 5,000 records have been completed. Now automatically the page is going to be increased. Automatically it is going to provide the same amount of data. Here also it's the same way. Automatically it will provide. So this is the most important interview question, guys. So I was telling you, this is the most important interview question. So it will the most important interview question. Most important. So I have faced this almost like 10 to 15 times. I'm saying this 10 to 15 times I have faced this interview question. Now the third one is your buffering. This I'll be telling you at a later point of time. And the fourth one is your log data changes. So this will tell us, what has been changed in the database table. What has been changed? Any new fields has been added, any new fields has been deleted. If there is a changes in the length of your fields, everything we can know it. So by selecting the log data changes, this will tell us what has been changed in the database table. That means, for example, what properties what properties of the field what properties of the field has been changed, and what sorry has been changed, what what new fields has been added, new fields slash what daily new fields are being added, any fields that are deleted slash changed. All these things you can know it. All these things you can know it with the help of your this log data changes. You can only do it. Sorry, we can. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, now we can only get these details. We can only get the above details if we selected this log data changes checkbox. If we selected this log data changes checkbox, if we selected this log data changes checkbox, or else we can't able to get that, and how can we get this? How to get the changes? To know the changes to know the changes we need to request the basis team. We need to request the basis team. And basis will provide this. How basis can provide? If you have selected this checkbox only. If you're not selected, then even basis can't able to retrieve the changes what happened to this. And this is a mandatory to always to select. This is a mandatory. We need to always select. So this is all about your technical settings of your table. The technical settings of your table. Let's go ahead and see that one. So let me go ahead and log in one more time. So now I'm going to say, what is this? So I'm going to SE11. I'm opening my table and I'll just click on create employee details. I'll be taking this as the type of our table as application table, and display slash maintenance allowed. Now I'm going to my technical settings. It will ask you to save the data. Save it by providing your package as well as your TR. So I told you TR can be created in two ways. One is with the help of your SE09, and one is with the help of your while creating the object. Now I'm going to create the object. Here you will be having a request button. Click on create and you can provide this. I'm going to say this as transport for June 27th 2023 batch. June 27 2023 batch, and click on this one and click on continue. Now here you need to see logical storage parameters, where you want to store the data class, the size category, and log data changes. So now you need to select this. See here, APPL0 is for your master data, APPL1 is for your transactional data, APPL2 is for your customizing data. You have to select APPL0, and size category here it is not configured, but you can select this as 0. And if I click on F4, now 0, 1 is also possible. See, so here they have added 14, 1 to 14, or you can provide it as 2. See, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So no enter. Value cannot be entered manually. Okay, so this has been configured. So I'm going to take this as 0. I'm going to take this as 0, and now I'm going to select your log data changes and click on save. This is all about your technical settings. So here you will be having something called as your DB specification properties. So that we are going to see when we started with our SAP HANA. Then we are going to see when we started with our SAP HANA. Now, let me go back, and then the next thing we are going to see is your fields. The fields are nothing but your column headings. These are nothing but the column headings of the table. The fields are nothing but your column headings of your table. So for every field, we need to provide the properties of the field, such as such as such as the data type and the length, the data type, length, and the description, length and the description of the table, the data type, length, and the description of the field. Sorry, not table, of the field. So these details, the above details, the above details can be maintained in two ways. One is with the help of your predefined type, and one is with the help of your data elements. One is with the help of your data element. Data element. Data element. Sorry. And then what is a data element and steps to create your data element. So now this one. So I was telling you we can maintain the above details like your data type, length, and your description of your field in two ways. One is with the help of your predefined type, and one is with the help of your data element. One is with the help of your data element. Now, so what is meant by predefined type? We have to provide, we will provide the data type, length, and description manually. We will provide the data type, length, and description manually. So what is a data type? What is the data type? So a data type. So what type of data we are going to add in that field, in that particular column. In that column will be dealt by your data type. In SAP, we do have, in SAP, we have we have almost 30 data types. 30 data types. So for examples examples like your numc, which is used to store numbers. If I want to store the positive numbers 0 to infinity, then I am going to use this. Integers, which is used to store both negative and positive numbers. And then character, which is used to store alphanumeric. That means You can store the letters, numbers, and the special characters. The special characters like at the rate or the exclamatory hashtag everything. So you can store these details, letters, and your special characters. So this is what. And if you want to store date, you will be having something called as dates. So which is used to store your date. So how SAP will store? SAP will store. So however you have written, SAP will store in the format called as YYYYMMDD. So for example, if you store the date in the format of so 02.07 02.07.2023, SAP will store in the format 2023-0702. It will always store in this format, but when you are seeing it, will be, you can see it in this format. So this is called as internal to external conversion. Internal to external conversion. I told you this while we are dealing with, while we are dealing with your domain. I told you this. So when we are dealing with your domain, where is this domain? So positive and negative characters, and you will be having your maintenance. So uppercase, lowercase, positive, we can use in multiple database, and we can also store. I forgot to tell you this. Okay. Anyways, I'll be going to show you when we are dealing with your domain again. Okay. So what is a domain? At that time, we are going to show you that internal to external as well as external to internal format. And the next one is your teams to store time. To store time. So SAP will store in the following format: HHSSMM, HHSSMM. In this format, it is going to store your data. So like this, and then we need to provide the length. So length will tell us how many characters the field can accommodate. Accommodate will be tell by your length. And the next one is description. So the description of the field, the description of the field. Now this is called as your predefined type. By default, when you are opening for the very first time, so if I go to SE11, open your database table and click on your change mode. See, by default, you can see your data element. If I want to pass, I can't able to pass your data type, length, and description manually. If I need to pass this, you need to select this as your predefined type, data element or predefined type. When I select this predefined type, see here, data element is gray out and it has enabled your data type, length, and your description. Data type, length, and your description. Now the name of your field, you don't need to pass, you don't have any naming conventions. You can pass whatever you want. Whatever you want, you can pass it, but I would always say give some realistic name. Give some realistic name so the other person can able to easily identify it. The other person can able to easily identify it. Give that realistic name. So now I'm going to give that my first field is the employee ID, EMP ID. Now if I want to keep a space between EMP and ID, you have to use an underscore in between the words. If I want to keep a space, note in between in between in between the words, in between the field names, in between the field name field name. If I want to, if I want to separate, then we need to use underscore. We need to use underscore. So this is the one more important thing you need to know it. Okay, in between the word or in between the field name, if I want to, if I want to separate, or if I want to split, or if I want to keep a space, separate or a space, if I want to keep a space, then I need to use underscore. And I need to use underscore. So this is what you need to know it. So now once you have done this, you will just go ahead and give it as, let's say I'm going to give this as character. Now just click on your F4 over here. You can see here the list of all your things. The F4, the search help, I told you, right? So the search help is nothing but your F4. So where is this? Search help, input help, or your F4 help. We are providing the hints to the user what data is allowed. So these are the data that are allowed. See here, characters, tags, floating integers, language key, numerical text. So time, or unit or currency, like this you will be having. Now you have to define what is the length. So I'm going to take this as length, and I'm going to take this as employee ID. Employee ID. So like this you can go ahead and do for all your fields. For all your fields. For all your fields you can go ahead and do in this format. Now when we go ahead, now the next thing is your data element. Then I'll be going to tell you when you have to go ahead and use your predefined type, and when we have to go ahead and use your data element. So data element, so what is a data element? This will store the properties of the field. This will store the properties of your field. So such as the length and your type data type. And the main purpose of creating the data element is reusability. The main purpose of this data element is reusability. That means we can use this data element, we can use this data element in multiple table fields. So this is called as your data element. Along with this, we do have so many, we do have other other details. We do have other details we can store in the data element. What are those? You can store in your data element. What are those? What are those? The first and the foremost is your description of the description of your field. The description of the field. So here you can maintain multiple descriptions like short, medium, long, and heading. Long and heading. So you can maintain multiple descriptions. Either you can maintain your short, or either you can maintain your medium, or you can maintain long. So which description you want, you can show that on your screen or on your application. So that is possible with the help of your data element. The second one is we can maintain the search help. We can maintain the search help. You can maintain your search help, like your input help. So now when you maintain your search help, if I'm providing it to multiple tables, so the same search help will be applicable for that particular field. The third one is the parameter ID. So this is mainly used mainly used to call the application mainly used to call the application from the program. If I want to call an application from your program, then this parameter id will plays an important role. So this item we will discuss in ALV reporting. So when we are dealing with our ALV reporting, then we are going to discuss. And then change document history. Change document history. So which will which will store what value, which will store what changes or what changes has happened on the on that field values. So or else I'll be changing this. It will store, or I'll change this. It will it will store it will store the changes in the data. Is simple. The changes in the data. It will store the changes in the data of that field. So what data changes that has been happened, that can be stored with the help of your change document history. So these are not at all possible when we go ahead with your predefined types. When we go ahead with your predefined types, these are not at all possible. These are only possible when we go ahead and maintain your data element. The next one is documentation. The documentation. So why we are creating this field, what is the purpose of creating the data element, and if you want to provide any examples, you can provide your examples. So these details you can able to do it with the help of your data element, which you can't able to achieve with the help of your predefined types, which you can't able to achieve with the help of your predefined types. Now the steps to create your data element. So the data element can be created in two ways. The data element can be created in two ways. The one way is from your SE11. The second way is from your table field level. When you are creating the table field, then you can create your data element. Now, how to create the data element from SE11? How to how to create the data element from SE11. So this we will be checking in your tomorrow's class, or steps to create the data element from SE11, and then we are going to see the steps to create the data element from your table hyphen field, and then we are going to see what is the domain and what steps to create your domain. What is a domain and steps to create your domain. So these details we are going to check in your tomorrow's class, and then we are going to see the next things called as the primary key and initialization. And then we are going to see the client dependent tables versus the client independent tables. The client dependent tables versus client independent tables. And then we are going to see how to add the data in the table, and then we are going to see what are the issues with the above approach, And then to overcome this approach, so to overcome this, we have something called as your table maintenance generator. Table maintenance generator. So what is meant by this table maintenance generator? So these details we are going to check in your tomorrow's class. So from tomorrow onwards, you have to join in your new link which I have shared you yesterday night. You have to join. So this running notes has already been uploaded in your particular drive. You can go ahead and see that. This running notes is already uploaded in your particular drive. You can go ahead and watch that. Okay, so that's it. That's all for today, and we'll meet you tomorrow again, and we'll continue our session. Before I signing off for today's session, any other questions, Venki and Sachin? Venkatesh and Sachin?
No, no, Rohit.
Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow at rate 8 a.m. Thank you all.
Thank you, Rohit.